Harry here to talk about the order to report to jail for Steve Bannon, Trump's erstwhile consigliere and media personality, and just general, complete sort of crazed political figure who advocates the most extreme and most confrontational tactics. He's really the biggest architect of what's been a general Republican strategy to hold on to power by vilifying the other side. All right. And Bannon, many moons ago, it seems, thumbed his nose at the January 6th committee, refused to testify with really no good reason, some kind of vague claim, but not at all demonstrated. And one has to demonstrate these pretty carefully of executive privilege, which, moreover, even had he demonstrated it, the current holder of the office, who's the holder of executive privilege, Joe Biden, had waived it. So he really didn't have a leg to stand on. And recall, there have been 4 people referred by the January 6th committee for contempt. And the DOJ, a referral means please prosecute or consider prosecuting these people for contempt. And DOJ can, in 2 instances, decided to do it with Bannon, Peter Navarro, and in 2 instances decided not to. Most notably, Mark Meadows, not because he hadn't been contemptuous necessarily, but because there was he had at least a some semblance of a claim based on his special relationship to Trump, and that it wasn't the DOJ was recognizing the claim, but was recognizing, this is serious, liberties at stake, have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, so they gave him a pass, but not Bannon, notwithstanding which Bannon has fought tooth and nail, tried to revive a kind of claim of executive privilege that didn't go anywhere at trial, and he was convicted, and he has since used every possible procedural obstacle. But the gig is up. He is now, there's nothing left to do but to report to jail, and report to jail he's been ordered to do in next month. And notwithstanding that he's had all the process anybody could imagine and then some, he and MAGA world are going berserk, and we really have a taste of how they're viewing the efforts to hold them accountable and what they intend to do should Trump win in November. So Bannon is going all off about recriminatory sort of criminal prosecutions of anybody who was involved, and retributive prosecutions, not based on facts, not based on law, but just based on political opposition. And Trump let loose a really vintage TruthSocial tweet this morning in response, and he goes through everything with his bizarre capitalizations and all cap kind of phrases jumping out, crazed former lunatics, admitting I did nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong, and ending with, I'll just read it. The un-American weaponization of our law enforcement that's supposedly sending Bannon to jail has reached levels of illegality. What illegality? They've been submitted to courts again and again and upheld. Never thought possible before. Okay. And then the final sentence in all caps: indict the unselect J6 committee for illegally deleting and destroying all of their findings. In all caps. So this is an outright exhortation, but you can take it as a promise if he wins, to indict, criminally charge the members of the January 6th committee, and apparently it would have something to do with their what they made available and not. That itself is complete bullshit. They turned it all over, and it's been the Republicans, now that they control the reins of the House, that have doled it out selectively. I mean, this is a flagrant First Amendment violation that just in the whole pile of things people haven't gotten to. But our government has taken this critical news that we should all need to be aware of, ought to be taught in third grade, and selectively doled it out to conservative and only conservative journalists. That itself is mind-blowing. But supposedly something about the January 6th treatment of the information is criminal. Nobody, even in Trump land thinks that's true for a second. But what emerges is, yes, they're outfitting, or at least sketching, a very big gulag for to round up everybody for criminal charges, including all kinds of people whose crime would be essentially having investigated Donald Trump and come up with all kinds of really grave offenses to the body politic and our rule of law and system of democracy. So, point one, Bannon finally, but don't cry for him, did it knowingly and got every process in the book. He's going to jail for a short time, and the response of Trump, MAGA faithful, and the kinds of, to the extent it exists, the brain trust for Republicans are making a campaign promise of sorts to if Trump wins, bring criminal charges against members of Congress who did their constitutional and investigative duties. So a lot to get next to there, it just underscores the stakes, as happens, twice a week, what the enormous implications of the coming election is. And also, finally the music stops for Steve Bannon. He'll be reporting to jail within weeks. And Trump repeats the spurious charge that and expands to fill all available space, a charge that somehow the January 6th committee deleted evidence. Here's the way he put it. It has been irrefutably proven that it was the unselects, that's his clever name for select committee, who committed actual crimes when they deleted and destroyed all material evidence in a pathetic attempt to protect crazy Nancy Pelosi from the truth. And that is, a bad joke, like so many Trump charges. We're talking about a couple hundred encrypted files that have not been destroyed, but based on protocol were delivered over to the archives. In fact, the charge really goes the other way. At least in terms of withholding evidence, the January 6th committee, once the reins passed to the Republicans, have begun to actually smother the evidence or dole it out selectively to their favored reporters and only them. It's like a mind-boggling and clear-cut First Amendment violation. There's just such a big pile of things that no one has attended to it. But imagine the government having really important, valuable information of great public interest and deciding based on their political views of the recipients which people they will favor with letting them have it and report to the public. That becomes in the distorted Trump machine and actual crimes by the Democrats to withhold all material information, as does, by the way, in a similar way, Bannon now finally having to show up. The way Trump characterizes it is that the crooked Joe Biden, so it comes from Biden, Department of Injustice, there's one of those clever antonyms of his, is so desperate to jail Steve Bannon and every other Republican for that matter. So you can see the sort of, I'll use an SAT word here, but I think it fits, Manichaean world that, they're just dark, nasty on one side, just a complete divide between good and evil in his twisted nomenclature, and all based on one thing and one thing only: who likes, who loves, who can even stomach Donald Trump. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.